Hello and welcome to K News. This is Hardik Trivedi. Let's have a look what is happening in India and in the world. The United States is in a new phase of the novel coronavirus outbreak, with infections extraordinarily widespread in rural areas as well as cities. White House coronavirus experts said on Sunday. Coronavirus cases continue to surge in some parts of the country, and the public health officials are trying to work with governors to tailor responses for each state. We are in a new phase, said Dr. Deborah Burks. What are seeing today is different from March and April. It is extraordinarily widespread in rural and urban areas. To everybody who lives in a rural area, you are not immune or protected from this virus, Burks said on State of the Union. We are very concerned and this is a very serious point. Burks said federal officials have been working on individual reports for each state, examining community trends and hospital records. Each of these responses have to be dramatically tailored, she said. She said what she witnessed as she visited 14 states over the last 3 weeks gave her cause of concern. President Donald Trump said White House COVID Task Force leader Dr. Deborah Burks hurt the Trump administration when she said widespread virus infections in urban and rural areas mark a new phase for the pandemic. Trump, in a tweet on Monday, described Burks' responses to Pelosi as pathetic. The World Health Organization warned on Monday that there might be never a silver bullet for the new coronavirus, despite the rush to discover effective vaccines. The WHO urged governments and citizens to focus on doing the known basics, such as testing, contact tracing, maintain physical distance, and wearing a mask in order to suppress the pandemic, which has upended normal life around the globe and triggered a devastating economic crisis. We all hope to have a number of effective vaccines that can help prevent people from infection, WHO Director General Tedros told a virtual press conference. However, there is no silver bullet at any moment, and that there might never be. For now, stopping outbreaks comes down the basics of public health and disease control. The WHO began pressing China in early May to invite in its experts to help investigate the animal origins of COVID-19. The UN Health Agency sent an epidemiologist and an animal health specialist to Beijing on July 10 to lay the groundwork for a probe aimed at identifying how the virus entered the human species. Their scoping mission is now complete, said Dr. Tedros. The WHO advanced team that traveled to China has now conducted their mission to lay the groundwork for further joint efforts to identify the virus origins, he said. WHO and Chinese experts have drafted the terms of reference for the studies and program of work by an international team led by WHO. The international team will include leading scientists and researchers from China and around the world. Afghan forces retook a prison in the country's east on Monday afternoon, following an hours-long gun battle a day after the facility was targeted by ISIS in an attack that killed 29 people. The prison is believed to hold hundreds of ISIS members. The attack highlighted the challenges ahead of Afghanistan, even as US and NATO forces began to withdraw following US-Taliban peace deal struck earlier this year. Afghan Defense Ministry spokesperson Fawad Aman said the prison in Jalalabad, the capital of Nangarhar province, located some 115 kilometers east of Kabul, was taken back in the afternoon, 24 hours after it came under attack. The fighting had also left at least 50 wounded, he said. Even as Afghan troops retook the prison, IS militants continued to fire on Afghan security forces from a nearby neighborhood. The sporadic gunfire rang out from nearby residential buildings in central Jalalabad, an area of high security near the provincial governor's office. As security forces swept through the prison, they found the bodies of two Taliban prisoners apparently killed by the Islamic State group, showing the tensions between the two militant factions battling each other in eastern Afghanistan. 29 dead included civilians, prisoners, guards and Afghan security forces, said Ataullah Khogiani, the provincial governor's spokesman. North Korea is pressing on with its nuclear weapons program, and several countries believe it has probably developed miniaturized nuclear devices to fit into the warheads of its ballistic missiles, according to a confidential UN report. The report by an independent panel of experts monitoring US sanctions said the countries which did not identify believed North Korea's past 6 nuclear tests had likely helped it develop miniaturized nuclear devices. Pyongyang has not conducted a nuclear test since September 2017. The interim report, seen by Reuters, was submitted to the 15-member UN Security Council North Korea Sanctions Committee on Monday. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea is continuing its nuclear program, including the production of highly enriched uranium and construction of an experimental light water reactor. A member state asked that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is continuing production of nuclear weapons, the report said. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said last week there would be no war as country's nuclear weapons guarantee its safety and future, despite unabated outside pressure and military threats. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and US President Donald Trump have met 3 times since 2018, but failed to make progress on US calls for Pyongyang to give up its nuclear weapons and North Korea's demands for an end to sanctions. Space tourism company Virgin Galactic on Monday announced a partnership with engine maker Rolls-Royce to build a supersonic commercial airplane that flies at 3 times the speed of sound. The aircraft would travel Mach 3 rather than Mach 2 speed of Concorde, the pioneering jet that operated from 1976 to 2003. Any new supersonic plane would have to solve the problems that doomed Concorde, in particular noise and fuel consumption. We are excited to unveil this initial design concept of a high-speed aircraft, which we envision as blending safe and reliable commercial travel with an unrivaled customer experience, said George Whitesides, Chief Space Officer at Virgin Galactic. The aircraft's draft design showed a plane with a triangular delta wing, carrying between 9 and 19 passengers at an altitude of more than 60,000 feet, about twice as high as normal commercial flight. The plane would take off and land at existing airport runways. The company signed a non-binding memorandum of understanding with Rolls-Royce to develop an engine for the aircraft. It is awaiting more test flights, and no launch date for commercial journeys has been set. The company, which was listed on the stock exchange last year, is seeking to diversify, and in May it announced an agreement with NASA to develop high-speed technology. NASA has also been working for decades on a silent supersonic experimental aircraft, the X-59. A first prototype is being built by Lockheed Martin in California. A curfew was imposed across the valley on Tuesday as authorities apprehended violent protest in view of plans by separatist and Pakistan-sponsored groups to observe August 5, the first anniversary of revocation of Jammu and Kashmir's special status as Black Day. Police and CRPF personnel were deployed in strength across the valley to ensure that the plans of the separatists to disturb peace did not succeed. Officials said people are requested not to violate the law and stay indoors. The police said the authorities had announced on Monday that the curfew would be imposed in Srinagar and other parts of the valley in view of the inputs about the violent protest endangering public life and property, as the separatist and Pakistan-sponsored groups were planning to observe August 5 as a Black Day. An order issued by Srinagar District Magistrate Shahid Iqbal Chaudhary said any such mass gathering would also be detrimental to efforts related to COVID containment. Chaudhary said the movement and assembly of people have been prohibited to avoid the spread of infection, particularly in the wake of a recent spike in cases. Budget carrier SpiceJet on Tuesday said it has secured slots at the London Heathrow Airport, which will allow the airline to commence flight services to the UK from next month. These slots under the Air Bubble Pact will later be extended to operate regular flight services once international flight services are resumed, SpiceJet said in a regulatory filing. An air bubble is a bilateral arrangement with a set of regulations and restrictions in which the carriers of the two countries can operate international flights. SpiceJet has secured slots at London Heathrow Airport to operate flights effective September 1. This is presently under the bubble agreement between India and the UK and effective up to end of summer schedule, which is October 23, the airline said in the filing. The same shall be extended on the resumption of regular operations, it added. All international commercial air passenger services in India are suspended since March 22 in the wake of travel restrictions due to COVID-19 pandemic. However, various evacuations and charter flights are being currently operated to fly back stranded Indians in various countries and also transport foreign nationals who are stuck in India to their countries. SpiceJet in the filing on Tuesday also said that it is in advanced discussion to secure slots for the winter schedule for regular operations. It's time for a short break. We will join you in a short while.
Vesavi avtundi fan with the cooler number one. Ika chesko more fun unte cooler number one. Ika don't run from the sun unte Kinsta number one. पहली नजर में हो गया मैं दीवाना 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 इतना सुंदर जैसे कोई सपना सुहाना मैं दीवाना दीवाना
कचारिया टाइल्स, जो देखे वो दीवाना।
Welcome back to K News and thank you for watching. Let's continue the streak of news. Heavy showers in Mumbai and neighboring areas crippled normal life and disrupted rail and road traffic on Tuesday, with essential services workers like nurses and other medical staff treating COVID-19 patients also finding it difficult to reach hospitals. Several areas in the city and suburbs received more than 200 millimeters rainfall since Monday night, and heavy showers were likely to continue for next 48 hours, according to the India Meteorological Department. Local train services, which are currently being operated only for those engaged in essential services, were suspended on some routes in Mumbai and suburbs in the morning due to water lodging on rail tracks. Some roads near Baikalla, Dadar and Mahalakshmi were inundated and traffic police had to divert traffic from those areas. Water has been gushing on a road in suburban Kandivali in the morning as rains pounded the city. Several houses in low-lying areas like Kulla, Sayan and parts of Bhandup were flooded due to the heavy downpour, a civic official said. A landslide on the Western Express Highway, a major north-south artillery road in suburban Kandivali, affected vehicular movement from the western suburbs towards South Mumbai, though there was no casualty, officials said. The Supreme Court on Tuesday concluded arguments in the 2009 contempt case against advocate Prashant Bhushan. The hearing was conducted in camera with a bench of 3 judges led by Justice Arun Mishra speaking to senior lawyers Rajiv Dhawan, Kapil Sibal and Harish Salve individually on WhatsApp video call. Dhawan appeared for Bhushan while Sibal represented former Tehelka editor Tarun Tejpal, who is also named in the contempt case initiated by Salve. The case pertains to an interview given by Bhushan to Tehelka, where he alleged that half of the past 16 Chief Justices of India were corrupt. The bench said that there is a thin line between free speech and contempt. The judges told Dhawan that they seek to balance the right to free speech on one hand and the need to protect the dignity of the judiciary as an institution. The top court had said in the last hearing that it is giving some time to the counsels appearing in the matter to prepare and had posted the matter for hearing on August 4. The apex court in November 2009 had issued contempt notice to Bhushan and Tejpal for allegedly casting aspirations on some sitting and former top court judges. In an interview to Tehelka, Tejpal was the editor of the magazine. In a 142-page reply affidavit filed through lawyer Kamini Jaiswal, the activist lawyer has referred to several apex court judgments, speeches of former and serving judges on contempt of court and the stifling of dissent in a democracy, and his views on judicial actions in some cases. Officially, India's death rate is nearly 20 times lower than the US, even though it has the world's fastest growing epidemic and the third highest number of total cases. But independent experts are warning India has failed to properly record fatalities and say better data collection is needed if the country is going to get a handle on the epidemic. The problem is a mix of poor data culture and a corrupt bureaucracy, said Steve Hanke, professor of applied economics, global health and study of business enterprise at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, pointing to a report by the Carnegie Endowment of International Peace. Missing or low quality data are always a major problem when attempting to form public policy in the health or any other field. It is equivalent to the pilot of an aircraft flying blind. India's mortality per 1 lakh is about 2.82 compared to 47.33 in the US and 44.92 in Brazil, the data shows. Bloomberg contacted officials in the capital New Delhi, the financial hub Mumbai and Southern Industrial Center of Chennai to obtain the data for total deaths in each month from March to July 2019 and 2020. Figures from Chennai showed overall deaths this year were higher than last year, with a spike in June, while Mumbai provided two different data sets that could not be compared. Multiple calls to municipal corporation officials in Delhi yielded no data. India's death registration data was patchy even before the virus struck. The vast majority of deaths, especially in rural villages, take place at home and routinely go unregistered. Experts believe that only between 20% to 30% of all deaths in India are properly medically certified. India's testing rate is one of the lowest in the world among hard-hit countries. Experts say the true extent of its pandemic is likely far higher than official data indicates. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare did not respond to requests for comment. At least three major cities, New Delhi, Mumbai and Chennai, revised their COVID-19 death data significantly upwards in June. The reasons for revisions varied. In New Delhi, local municipal bodies said hospital death data did not tally with reports of virus-related burials and cremations. In Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu, and Mumbai, delays or bureaucratic lapses in collecting data from multiple sources were cited. Setting up beds is easy, but there is no point unless you have the extra staff to care for the patients in those beds. The managing director of a prominent private hospital in North India said, asking not to be identified, citing privacy concerns. In the end, India's mortality rates will be among the highest in the world, the director said, offering a lesson in how not to manage a pandemic. President Donald Trump has said that as compared to big countries, America is doing very well in the fight against the COVID-19, while India is having a tremendous problem battling the disease, and China is witnessing a massive flare-up in infections. India's COVID-19 tally increased to 18,55,000 on Tuesday, with 52,050 people testing positive for the coronavirus infection in a day. As such, compared to larger countries, the US is doing much better in the fight against the coronavirus, he said. The US is the worst hit country from the pandemic with over 4.7 million cases and more than 1,55,000 deaths. The US, Trump said, has tested over 60 million people for coronavirus. Trump said that the US is beginning to see evidence of significant progress. Nationwide, the number of positive cases has declined by nearly 6% from the week before, and the positive test rate has also dropped from 8.7% to 8% over the same period of time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated all those who successfully cleared the prestigious civil services examinations, results for which were declared on Tuesday. The Prime Minister said that an exciting and satisfying career of public service awaited the successful candidates. Prime Minister also offered encouragement to those who could not clear the examination and said life was full of opportunities, while wishing them well for their future endeavors. A total of 829 candidates have qualified in the civil services, including the IAS, the IPS and the IFS. The results declared by the Union Public Service Commission on Tuesday saw 3 serving civil servants top the examinations. The topper, Pradeep Singh, is from the Indian Revenue Service, while Jatin Kishore is a 2018 batch officer of the Indian Economic Service, and Pratibha Verma is an Indian Revenue Service officer. A total of 182 other candidates have been put in the reserve list. The design of the planned Ram temple in Ayodhya was released today by the trust overseeing its construction, a day before the groundbreaking ceremony by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other top leaders. A series of images showed a grand three-story stone structure on a raised platform with multiple turrets, pillars and domes. The temple will be 161 feet tall and almost double the size of what was originally planned. According to its architect, the interiors show a high dome with intricate carvings. The design was modified after the Supreme Court verdict in November on the 2.77-acre site claimed by both Hindus and Muslims. Architect Chandrakant Sompura, who comes from a family of temple architects, was asked around 30 years ago to design the Ram temple. His father, Prabhashankar Sompura, designed and oversaw the reconstruction of the Somnath temple. Mr. Sompura told that he had followed the Nagara style of architecture. The design has been tweaked to the 5 domes instead of 2 to accommodate more devotees. A shikhar or tower will be built over the sanctum sanctorum. After the Bhumi Pujan or groundbreaking ceremony featuring PM Modi, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, UP Governor Anandiben Patel and RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat, apart from 175 spiritual leaders, the construction will begin. It will take around 3 years to build the temple, said the architect. The National Investigation Agency probing the sensational Kerala gold smuggling case has sought the centre's nod to send a team to the UAE as part of the investigation. An official familiar with the probe said Tuesday. The official said the trip may be cleared by the union government in a couple of days. He also said 2 more persons, Mohammad Shafiq and E. Sharifuddin, were arrested from North Kerala for facilitating the distribution of smuggled gold. A total of 12 persons have been arrested so far in the case. The Customs Department, which is part of the probe headed by the NIA, has decided to question Shiv Shankar again because there were many discrepancies in his earlier statements, said a senior official. He has already been questioned by the Customs and the NIA separately. There are also reports that a senior politician will also be questioned for helping some members of the smuggling racket. When 2 lockers of Swapna Suresh were opened last week, investigators reportedly found rupees 1 crore cash and 2 kilograms gold. These lockers were in the joint name of Suresh and a chartered accountant. The latter told the investigations that has allegedly asked by Shiv Shankar to help Suresh to open lockers 3 years ago. Suresh reportedly gave a detailed statement to the NIA containing vital information about all financial dealings and persons involved in the smuggling, said the official. He said more people will be arrested in a couple of days. That's all for now. Keep watching K News. This is Hardik Trivedi taking your leave. Be alert, be positive, be safe.